Pope Paul VI once called the Holy Land the fifth gospel. The Holy Land is the fifth gospel because we see the sites written about in the Gospels, and so we can then understand Jesus better. And so we see this clearly in the site called Caesarea Philippi, which we heard about in the gospel that Jesus took his disciples to. In Caesarea Philippi, as it was called at that time, which is in northern Israel, there's a huge rock, probably 50 feet tall or more, hundreds of feet wide, and in this rock is carved a huge cave. And flowing from this cave is a spring of water that's so deep that the people at that time thought it was the entryway into the netherworld. It was called the gates of the netherworld. And in front of this cave was built a temple to the pagan god Pan. And the pagan worshipers would come in and sacrifice to Pan, sometimes even offering human sacrifices. So it was a place of great evil. And so it was no accident then that Jesus brought his disciples to this place, this rock of great evil. And then he turns to Peter and says, "You are Peter, the rock upon which I will build my church." Your confession of faith in me as the Son of the living God is the rock upon which I will build my church. And the gates of the netherworld shall not prevail against it. Jesus was making a contrast between the rock of evil and the new rock, the rock of good, worshiping the false god of Pan and worshiping the true God. Jesus then goes further and says to Peter, "I will give you the keys to the kingdom of heaven," meaning you will lead my church. And all those following after you will have the keys, the sign of authority, passed down to their successors, and on, and continues until this present day with our Pope Francis. The chair of St. Peter is what we celebrate today. It's the authority given by Jesus to Peter to lead his church and all the popes to protect the faith. The great news of salvation is that the church is secure against the gates of hell. Nevertheless, we as individual Christians still have our role to play in fighting against evil in this world. St. Augustine taught that evil is the absence of good in the world. Our role, then, is to fill these empty spaces with the goodness of God's love. When we receive the Eucharist, or spiritual communion if necessary, we are transformed into the very love of God himself. And we are then enabled to bring that love into the world. Saint Therese of Lisieux said, "Never miss an opportunity to make a small sacrifice for others, whether it's a smiling look here or a kindly word there." And it's also echoed by Mother Teresa, St. Teresa of Calcutta, who often liked to say, "Do small things with great love."